We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
I may not be a millionaire. I may not have a brand new Frigidaire. My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new. But there is joy in my house. I've got joy in my house. There is joy in my house.
Welcome everybody to Joy in My House, an inspirational reality radio show with a touch of recovery. And this is a show where nothing is left unsaid,
and no one is insignificant who says it.
And I'm joined here with my co-host Lolita Robinson.
Hi everybody, welcome back again. Glad to be here. Joel, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I welcome everybody out there who's viewing the show and listening to the show. If you're joining us right after service, thank you for being a part of our joy here in our house. We have special guests lined up for this next couple months, so please stay tuned and join us. Become a fan on Facebook /Joy in My House to follow up on our special guests, musical artists, businessmen and women, and great foundations that are going to come on and talk about the projects that they're working on. Today we have a special guest by the name of Osama Afifi, who was one of the music producers on Joy in My House and the CD Changes with Lolita.
Yeah, I'm excited today
So I'm excited
have
to
him on.
have
Yes.
him. Now he's all the way down here from Seattle visiting, and had the opportunity to come on the show and talk a little bit about his journey on becoming a musician, a family man, and living that life where sometimes it's a little intense and crazy, but how he stayed true to his faith and his convictions. So we're looking forward to having him on the show a little later. Now I did want to recap last week. We had a great guest.
Wow.
Bruce S. was on the show, and he had to share on his experience with sexual addiction.
Yeah, that was really intense. Very, very inspirational for me too. I learned a lot.
It was, especially as a man that we want to stick to our convictions and the person that God wants us to be. It was really, really insightful.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by his transparency too. And
Yeah, he was very vulnerable in how he opened up his life. I hope it helped a lot of people out there. It's kind of hard to have people calling in, isn't it?
It is, especially
Yeah.
because we talk about things that are a lot deeper. You know, I was talking to a younger cousin of mine last night, and he was saying how this show, he's been keeping up with it, and how it's we're not very single layered. We actually we go a little deeper than that, and
Yeah.
I think that also is a little difficult. It's
Yeah.
not also as easy when we're talking about some of our issues, but I think through our experiences we're able to help each other.
Right.
So if you're listening out there and you want to or you have a question or a comment, feel free to tweet us at twitter.com/LA Talk Live, or you can follow us on twitter.com/Joy in My House, and our Facebook page, which is Facebook /Joy in My House, where you can become a fan and get up to date guest lineups, which I think is important. You know, something that you might be interested in listening to somebody's testimony, somebody's story, or somebody's foundation that you know would be a positive thing in your life, where you can come out and support or donate your time or even financially. So please keep up with us. I'm very grateful to be a part of this show, especially during this time of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm very thankful too. I was thinking this morning about all the different variety of people that we've had on so far, people who have overcome drug addictions and sexual addictions. And then we had Paul, who was on, who talked about overcoming your mind and making sure your behaviors are in line and the things you can do. And, you know, hearing your story, I am thankful for the people that we have met. And I'm thankful for their stories. I'm thankful that no matter what we go through, we can still keep our hope and our faith.
I that's what this whole show is
Yeah,
about.
it is.
That's the joy that we have in our house through our surrender and through our experiences, and we get to get some of the joy that our guests have had.
That's right.
Because they're able to come and share their.
They are. How about, what are you thankful for?
You know, right now I'm just. I was thinking about this quite a bit, and I was thinking the things that I want. Oh, I want this. I want this show to be this. I want my life to be this. I want me being a father to be this. But I'm thankful for everything being met. My needs,
Right. I love it.
everything's met.
Right.
I don't struggle for anything
That's
at this
right.
point. Yeah, there's challenges and there's storms, but I'm able to go through them. But I think it's also because of my recovery and my faith
That's right.
and that thing that you called hope.
That's
The
right.
hope that I know that I can get through it and it's not going to kill me, and I don't have to run to external things to get that void filled. I'm able to drop to my knees and just be thankful.
And no, we're not in this by ourselves.
Yeah, and the people around me, like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
My partners in accountability, my partners in my program, even my dog. You know, I have a 1-year-old German Shepherd, and I sometimes I'm a little sad, and the dog just comes and lays her head on my lap, and it almost absorbs my sadness.
Yeah, animals are very important. I have a Frankie, my kitty. You know, they are very important. I guess wherever you get hope, God is just He puts things in our lives to even, like you said, animals, to encourage those that maybe don't have family. So that is something to be thankful about.
It is, and it's something small that somebody might take as, oh, it's
Yeah.
small. But for me, when I do drop down to my knees and I start thanking the things that I have, and I'm able to reflect on the things I'm thankful for,
Right.
it's like, wow, I am thankful for this. I am thankful for this. And then all these little thankful things, I'm like, I have a list of things that I'm thankful for.
Yes, and we do want to wish our audience out there a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'm very happy and thankful that Osama's he's a producer, but he's also my younger brother, and I'm thankful that he came and he's been a part of my life. And we're both thankful that our mother made it through heart surgery. She had to have a valve replaced, and we've had some sorrow, which Sam and I will talk about when he comes on. But I'm so thankful that for my family. You're right. Money, the song I wrote. It really, relationships means everything. When I hear my son's keys in the door late at night coming in and they're safe, they weren't in an accident, I am so grateful that nobody else is sick. So, yeah, this is going to be a really great Thanksgiving this year.
I'm in a state of gratitude right now. And it's funny because I'm usually in a state of gratitude when I'm most overwhelmed.
Oh, okay.
So I love that feeling of, I'm getting overwhelmed, and then I take a step back and I say, well, what am I grateful for? Let's
Right.
first start there.
Right.
And then I'll start talking about things I want. But once I get through the list of things I'm grateful for, I'm like, wow, I do have a lot of my needs met.
Right.
I do have so much to be grateful. Like you said, my children are healthy.
Right.
They're doing well in school. My younger daughter is taking violin lessons, and she's progressing in the program. Even that simple progression that I see and the joy that she has
Right.
for succeeding is something that most kids are going to succeed anyways. But for her, it's a big deal, which in turn makes it a big deal for me. And
I'm glad. Well, maybe somebody you guys will call in and let us know what you're thankful about, or maybe just to get cheered up, to know that you're not by yourself, that we're all going through something. We're all carrying a cross, and maybe some of you out there, like I have an older woman who's a shut-in. She's crippled, and she calls, and just our connection, just to know that people care. So call in today and let us hear from you.
I agree. You guys need to call in if you feel that you have something on your heart that you want to share and be a part of our joy. We want to be a part of your joy. So find us on Facebook.com/Joy in My House, or you can just call in directly at 323-247-7443. And just with any questions or comments, things that you have to be joyful for, especially during these holiday seasons. Because I know during the holidays,
it's very lonely.
It gets overwhelming.
Yeah, and everybody's life is not like Hallmark, and it's not like these movies that come out. And there are a lot of people out there that are hurting, that don't maybe have jobs, that are having marital issues. And we want to hear from you too, that you're not alone. We're praying for you, and we're all in this big life. Like somebody said, none of us are getting out of here alive.
That's great. That's great. And I do believe that God put us on this earth for relationships.
That's right.
He didn't put us here to be alone. He put us here to
so call us today.
Engage with one another. Yeah, so feel free to call with any questions or comments. We have a great guest in the house. He's a music producer, but not just a music producer, a family man, a man of Christ that's going to come and share about his journey into becoming a musician and working on amazing projects with Lolita here. I know he worked on your first CD.
Yeah, he did.
Lolita.
I can't wait till he comes on to talk to him.
And your new one, Changes.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Lolita, Lolita Robinson Coppage, she's a contemporary Christian singer, an author of Shaped by the Master's Hands and a speaker. So you can find her on lrcministries.com. You can purchase her first album, self-titled Lolita, or you can purchase her second album, Changes, that has been recently released on her website. So
And I'd
come on
like to say
support.
another thing. If you'd like to come out December 3rd at 7 o'clock in Lakewood, near the sheriff's station, I'll be speaking at a Light the Life celebration with Pathways. It's a time when people get together and they light candles in memorial for their loved ones who have passed away, and I get to share a little bit of my testimony on how I became a part of Pathways. So December 3rd, 7 o'clock in Lakewood, near the Lakewood Center. I'd love for you to come on out and get to meet you.
Now, will you be singing?
No, I'll just be speaking.
Just
I'll
be
be the guest speakers for about 5 minutes. They'll have other speakers, but they want to know how I became a part of Pathways, being a widow, and then I went through their training to become a mentor and a facilitator. So I get to share about the journey of
very
healing
good.
and how I got to the other side of it. So if they want to come out.
Well, there you go. December
Okay.
3rd.
Yeah.
7 o'clock, December 3rd,
Yeah.
during the Lakewood Center. Please find it, if you can find it, Pathway.
Yeah.
Pathway.com is probably their website.
Yeah.
So please feel free to find them and come out and support Lolita, or if you just believe in this foundation
Yeah,
of
well,
loss and
hopefully
grief.
you're there too.
I'm going to try and make it.
Yeah, because you're my buddy.
Yeah, I would definitely
You're
try
my
and
right
make
hand
it.
man.
Thank you, Lolita. Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial break now, and we're going to invite our guest, Osama Afifi, to come on board. Please stay tuned. Like I said, follow us on twitter.com/joinmyhouse. Follow us on facebook.com/joinmyhouse, or follow us directly on LA Talk Live, and we'll be right
Yeah.
back.
I'm always in one of mine. Constant spins, not trusting. He opens doors to go in, but I'm afraid to depend upon him. I bring him ashes for gold. He starts to work, I put him on hold. Still he's faithful to me, 'cause he's blind.
Hi, I'm Renina Minter.
And I'm Delana Watson, inviting you to join us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time
For our show, Sisters Seeking Solutions, join us as we discuss real-life issues,
hot topics,
reality TV,
and current events.
while providing entertaining and encouraging solutions.
So don't forget to tune in to Sisters Seeking Solutions,
More than a show, a movement. Every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv, and now on Radio Flag and every mobile device.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Can't sleep, my mind's been racing, 'cause my stars.
Welcome back to Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined here by my co-host, Lolita Robinson.
Hi there.
This is a reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
This is a show where we get to invite special guests and allow them to be very transparent and talk about the gifts that God has given them. And through their trials and tribulations, we're able to learn from their experiences, strengths, and hope.
Right.
So we want to welcome to the show a very special guest of ours, Osama Afifi.
Yay.
Welcome to the show.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I do want to remind you, if you want to catch the show via mobile devices, you can catch us on ustream.tv/LA Talk Live, and you can find us also on ustream.tv/Join My House. That way you can follow us on your iPad or your iPhone or your BlackBerry. You're more than welcome to follow us on your mobile devices. I know nowadays the younger generation,
They know it all.
they can follow us
my goodness.
on their mobile device, on their phone. They can.
Oh, yeah,
be listening
social
to-
media. Hey, it's the way to go.
It really is. It really is. And I also wanted to mention that next week on the 25th, we had a rescheduling of a guest, and we have this great guest, Debbie, coming on board, talking about Project Cuddles as seen on NBC The Talk. She works with women who have pregnancies and want to have some assistance to help them find a place for their children if they want to
Put them up for adoption.
put them up for adoption, or if they just need a little more education on these children and going through the process of being pregnant. So she's going to come on board November 25th, which is next week. It's called Project Cuddles, and you can find them on Facebook as well, and their website projectcuddles.org.
All
But I
right.
do want to talk to Osama now.
Yeah.
Osama, welcome to the show once again. I'm excited to have you. I met you many moons ago. I would say about 10 years ago
Yeah, in Fullerton,
in
right?
Fullerton,
right.
California. That is actually how I came in contact with Lolita. I always talk about in my testimony, I always talk about the person that led me to Christ was actually Lolita Robinson, your sister. I was teaching out of my backyard. I was literally teaching out of my backyard, and my neighbors who I invited to be part of the program invited friends, families, and neighbors. They took it literally and went to your house and invited you. And at the time, Lolita was visiting with her son Seth,
Right.
and came to watch my testing promotional examination, and decided that she was interested in having her son be a part of it. And she would drive from Long Beach, California, all the way to Fullerton, Orange County, for her son to take lessons from me, which I thought was a blessing in itself. And for a long time, I thought that I was put there to mentor her son, to work with her, and come to find out that she was put there to teach me how to be a son of God. So thanks to you living in Fullerton,
Wow.
California,
Yeah.
I've
Sama.
been blessed by Lolita being a part of my life.
Yeah, she would be at our house. Our little boy was born Jordan,
Mhm.
and then Lolita would. We were blessed not to have like babysitters and stuff, and luckily Lolita was around from time to time. Well, actually a lot. To help
That was my boy.
I was out doing a lot of gigs, and me and Lolita would actually do a lot of gigs together. But if I was doing other ones, because my wife worked, Nami, and she worked sometimes from home, but then she would also work in Cerritos. So she would work a lot, weird hours, and then I would go out doing recording sessions, all sorts of, music jobs.
Yeah,
and
just-
Lolita was,
What a
Yeah.
blessing! How
Thanks.
God works and the intricacies.
Yeah, I mean, really, thank you for that. I forgot about that. That did work. And then also to give him props, when I had Seth, I got back, and it was because of Osama getting in touch with Jay from Jay Sterling Productions. Osama's a real go-getter, which he'll talk about. He was sending out his card and resume. Well, Jay contacted me back from the Debbie Boone days, and so Osama and I started working with Jay, but I was a new mother, and Osama and Nami, when I had projects, they took care of my son. So it kind of works in, and then you
Wow.
with your,
Like how God works and how
How
He
he
brings
works,
everybody
how he brings
together.
everybody together.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing.
So when
yeah,
you
when I
about
met
Sama's music,
when
go
I
ahead.
met Jay, well, I called him or emailed him something, and then he goes, "Wait a minute, is your sister Lolita?" I said,
Because of
"Yeah."
Fifi.
So she ended up working with him even before I worked with him.
That's right.
Wow.
Because
Years
I called
ago.
him to try to
Wow.
get a gig, and he already had a bassist at the time. But then a couple of years later, the other bassist left, and then they had an opening, and then
Yeah, so
we
we've
all
been working
started working
together.
together.
Yeah,
And
we've been
Jay
really
is
blessed.
from Jay Sterling Productions,
Right,
correct?
right. And my former maiden name is Afifi, so
I see.
that's how Jay knew me before I got married and became Robinson. And well, that's a whole nother story. But
that was on the first episode and the second episode.
yeah. So I want to hear about Osama and your being a musician and stuff. So go ahead, you guys.
So no, but I did want to ask you, Lolita. So Jay Sterling Productions, you're still part of Jay Sterling?
Still apart. Still
How long
apart.
have you been with Jay Sterling?
Oh my God, 18 years.
Wow.
18
wow.
years.
Now
Seth was 2 months old.
now you guys have won some awards as well.
Yeah, Jay has for one of the best bridal venues have voted us one of the best top groups to hire. So I'm excited. And Osama, how long were you with Jay? About
Probably
what, seven? About 7 years,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
7 years. Wow.
Yeah, I've been blessed. We've been blessed to work together. So
Wow.
enough of me. Let's talk about him. I'm excited.
Well, I did want to talk, Osama. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history? So where'd you grow up? How'd you get into music? I think a lot of our listeners like to know the background on,
Yeah, I grew up. Well, my dad, he's from Egypt. He's from Cairo or Egypt, and my mom's from Chicago.
Man,
I would've
So
come in there. You go.
Yeah, they somehow met and hooked up and all that, and and then I was born up Berkeley, Oakland, California, but technically Berkeley,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you were born in Berkeley.
I always tell people I'm from Oakland, so I'm an old Raiders fan.
There you go.
Nah, Berkeley, dude.
Yeah. and then grew up in Southern California, and
What got you into music? What got you wanting to?
Well, as
to
a
be in
child, I listened to all styles of music, and my granddad had all these old big band records, like
Wow.
1940s and 50s.
Who did Granddaddy Henry?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then in our house, Lolita, she sang, and my parents, they weren't musicians, but they had music all around the
Glenn
house.
Campbell, boy, we came
Yeah,
up on
Glenn
Glenn
Campbell,
Campbell.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what are some of your
Oh,
influences?
yeah.
All the old Motown records.
Right.
And I remember hearing Beatles,
Wow.
when I was like 5 years old, pretending I was playing with a broom.
Yeah, I was gonna. See, you stole my thunder. Yeah, he'd go and get the broom, and there was a song called "Ooh Wah Ooh Wah Ooh Wah Diddy," talking about the boy from New York City. Van is laughing. I love Van. Well, Sam would just go "Ooh Wah Ooh Wah Ooh Wah Ooh Wah Ooh Wah."
So you did you know back then that this was a passion of yours, or was it just more for fun?
Probably when I, 7 or 8, Lolita had a guitar, so I would mess around with the guitar. And then when I was around 10, my mom got me violin lessons. So I did that for maybe a year. Then we moved, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. It just kind of disappeared.
Well, let me ask you about the violin, because I actually signed up my daughter for violin lessons. It's the instrument she chose, and it's very comprehensive. The teacher told me, but she for some reason just is taking to it. What did you think about those violin lessons?
Well, my mom wanted me to get them because she always said I had so much energy and I couldn't sit still.
Hyperactive before it was ever diagnosed.
Yeah, they didn't even call it that.
That boy used to chew holes in. We had those net playpens. Man, he'd chew a hole in it, be up the street somewhere, climbing over. I mean, he was a mess. Could not keep up with him. I didn't know that's why she gave me violin.
And then but then in junior high, I wanted to play violin in 7th grade, and I got to the class, and all the other kids were already playing it. And then I saw the stand-up bass in the corner. So
I couldn't believe
So I said,
that.
I'll play that thing. And then I brought it home.
We were like, what is this?
Yeah, my mom's like, what's that big old thing? So she was kind of, but now looking back, I'm glad I became a bass player.
Okay.
Yeah, really. And you can
Yeah.
do both, which makes it very...
Yeah, and I play electric bass and upright bass.
And I was telling him before he came in, I wanted to remind him of that because some of you are parents out there, some of you are young people out there that want to get in music. It's a good thing if you can pick up an instrument as a young child. It's very important to learn how to learn your craft because you started early and you went. How did you go from stand-up bass to electric?
Around high school, I was playing upright bass, played classical music, and the orchestras in school, and then got into the jazz band. They had a old Fender P bass, what James Jamerson used on all the, that's type of bass that he used on all the Motown records. And
Wow.
I always liked that kind of music, so then I picked up, since I could already read music, I was able to pretty much just pick up the electric bass and just play it because I started, playing upright, which is technically a little more difficult.
So very well rounded. Very
Yes,
well rounded and like musically for me personally, I have no creative bone in me. I watch you guys and I'm always amazed at Lolita when she's singing or when she's recording. I'm just like, wow, that it's captivating. So I wanted to give the opportunity to my children who now are in chorus, they're in the glee club, and even my younger daughter pick up an instrument because I think it's very important. And it's sad that in schools now they're cutting all that funding, and I think it's so important to have that creative outlet.
Well, you might be surprised. You might have talent that's you just don't know because I have like 30 bass students now. I have a lot of students.
Wow.
And 2 of my best students are like doctors, surgeons.
What?
And
How interesting.
Yeah, and they
How
started.
interesting.
One guy started. They were
Already
they're
established.
they're
over
more
40.
mature, yeah, they're mature.
and these guys are playing good. So I have students that are kids, and then all the way up to like a guy who's like maybe 68 years old.
Now, where
And,
do you teach?
Out of my house, I have a home studio, so
Good for you.
it's right there, so it works out great. Yeah.
Well, why don't you share what some of the things that you've done, your accolades, people that you've been with. You're very impressive.
Let's see. Well, I toured. One of the big tours I did, a guy named Yanni. He's a keyboard player, and he's he's won a lot of Grammys and all that. And I toured with him for a couple of years, and then with the singer Vanessa Paradis. She was at the time she was dating Lenny Kravitz, and then now she was recently, her and Johnny Depp were together. I think they had some kids. But
Yeah, she was
I
a
think they
fantastic
broke up
singer.
now, but
Yeah, big singer in France.
Yeah, so I
Pop
toured all-
singer, great singer.
yeah, toured all over France with her. And my friend Zorro, who's a drummer, my old buddy, he was the drummer on that tour.
Wow, well, he's going to be on the show November 2nd. We have a book
December.
for this in December,
Oh,
the first
cool.
week of December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
go way back with Zorro. And
Yeah, high
he
school.
toured. Yeah, he toured with
You and
Lenny.
Lenny too, right?
Yeah, I went
All
to
you
high
guys-
school with
all of
Lenny
them.
Kravitz. Yeah.
Beverly Hills High.
And then,
Yeah, shout out to Beverly Hills.
yeah. And let's see what else. And then I was in a group called the B Sharp Jazz Quartet for about 5 years.
Yeah.
They're from Los Angeles, and we toured all over the U.S. and went to Europe, played the Istanbul Jazz Festival.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
he's-
Wow, that's a big
Yeah,
venue.
Sam is really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Italy, France, and all sorts of places. So
Like I said, you're
And
very well
Cadillacs,
rounded.
you with the
yeah,
Cadillacs.
the Cadillacs was
yeah.
his
That's
oldies
right. I
band.
read it on your bio.
You did that
Yeah.
with at Disneyland and all this stuff. It was so fun to come and see you, you know.
And then I've done like literally thousands of weddings, corporate events,
Mm-hmm.
all musicians, like even if they're touring, doing all these big tours and stuff,
Yeah.
they always fill their time up doing private parties.
Gigs.
But
It's
I-
the
yeah,
gigs that we
gigs.
do, yeah.
But I
Pay
think
the
that's,
bills.
that's
They
right.
come off the road with big names and then we come down, we do our gigs. It's cool.
But that's good. It keeps not only does it keep you humble, but it keeps you working on your craft. It keeps you
Exactly.
being fresh and being
and
sharp.
food on the table.
And it keep your,
Have you ever heard this joke? They said, what's the difference between Pizza Hut and musician? Pizza Hut can feed a family of 4.
that's funny. I've never
There's
heard
a lot
that.
of jokes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we go ahead, Sam.
Well, let me ask you. You know, being a musician, and it sounds like you toured a lot. How did that affect your family? I mean, it had to be difficult. Like you said, even Lolita would come and watch your baby, and you guys were still going out and doing
When
gigs.
you watch
and-
my baby, yeah.
Yeah, in my case, I did most of my big touring before Jordan was born. Yeah, and my son now is 10 years old. So once he was in, different musicians have their own way of dealing with it, you know. So some
And you got to
guys-
have a wife who understands. I mean, Nami is really cool. You have to have a wife who really gets a musician. Explain Nami's personality because she's never been intimidated with you being in the clubs and other women. I mean,
yeah, she's real. She knows that it's my job,
Right.
and you know I love playing. So she knew from the get go that I'm a musician, you know,
right.
and that's what I do for a living.
And
You
that's
have to have
also
somebody
and
who
that's also partly
understands.
what she fell in love with as well.
Right.
But also, that's not the reason she married you. She also probably married you because she sees that you're consistent, you're able to have your boundaries and still be have a musician's life, but not get caught up in all the external things of being a musician. I think people misunderstand what it is to be a musician. They think being a rock star is that comes with you have to do this in order to be a good rock star.
right, like
Yeah.
the drugs and the women
The
and
drugs
stuff,
and
right?
the
You
women and
don't.
the acting out.
You don't.
Which, to be honest, the people that have longevity and that I know of, and now hearing about you, are the people who don't actually get in that. The people who do start doing all the external stuff, they tend to have a high point, yeah, but then they drop off. And
Yeah, most of musicians I deal with, they're all, you know, if they weren't a musician, they maybe, who knows what they would be doing, but they're all, it's actually, they love playing music and they love doing music, but it's also their job. So most everybody I know, they all take care of business. They're real organized.
professional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like the movies where, you know, they're out just whatever.
Partying.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
It's not.
and then it's so funny because people at the end of the night, all the guys I work with are married. They have kids. They pack up. They get their stuff, put it on their back, cart it out on their carts, and go home.
And when you're on the road,
Yeah, it's like it's not what people think.
yeah, when you're on the road, you do your gig and then you get on the bus
To go to your next gig, yeah.
Yep,
It's,
go to the hotel.
Yeah, it's not as
as glamorous as they show it on the movies.
No,
you know?
No.
not at all. No, it's not.
No.
It's not. No. It
What is
really
some of
isn't.
the fulfillment that you get being on stage? What are some of the validation that you feel when you're up there? What are you passionate most about regarding being a musician? Because like I said, I envy that because I'm not. I couldn't go up on stage and do anything. I am. That is not
But like
my
you said, you might
personality.
try it. You never know.
I think it's intimidating.
Well, sometimes it's kind of like, at least in my case, it's almost like being an athlete. It's like the preparation and the practice. That's almost more fun sometime than even the gigs. Because
Wow, that's very interesting.
But
Yeah.
it's camaraderie, isn't it? Because you
well,
guys.
once
oh,
you're there,
boy.
but I'm talking about like just me. I'm
Okay.
you know I was always the type, you could ask Lolita when I was a kid, I would sit there and practice
Oh gosh.
for hours and
Yeah.
hours. She would hear me slapping the bass,
Oh
like,
geez.
what are you doing
3
over
o'clock
there?
I remember that time you and Vadim, who was a great guitar player, would be our mothers would be calling around looking for them. They'd be in a park somewhere practicing their music at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, diehard musicians.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so
Mhm.
so all that, and then once you get on stage, it's like
All the hard work
It's a
shows.
job.
yeah,
It-
yeah.
it-
Then
yeah.
then it's fun, and and obviously the camaraderie, playing with other musicians, that's awesome, and all that stuff. Obviously.
Now the people that you're playing with now, have you been playing with them for a long time, or do you
Yeah.
mind going in and sitting in with somebody and playing, right away with them, or do you feel that you have to build? Because like I said, I'm asking you as a person who doesn't know about being a musician. Yeah, I work with a lot of musicians, but never do I know what you guys are going through. Does that intimidate you? Are you okay with that? How does that work?
Yeah, I would say a big percentage of my jobs are, because I'm what you call, gun for hire in a
You're
way.
independent
There-
contractor,
yeah,
right?
independent contractor. There are bands that I play with a lot that will do maybe 1 or 2 gigs a week together, but a big percentage of my jobs are just show up. They put the music
Wow.
up there.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time you don't even know the players. Now it's not as much because I've been doing it a while. So
Yeah, so everybody knows you.
yeah,
you're,
but
you know,
you'll get music. The other night I played, all 3 of us were backing up a singer, and all 3 of us have played with her, but not all at the same time. And she threw out a bunch of charts, and we all just read them down.
So when you say it's
Yeah.
important for someone listening out there who wants to be a musician, a lot of people they think it's cool to play by ear. That is cool, but it limits you. What would you say about reading
Yeah, I
for
would
your
say
craft? Even though nowadays people are getting on TV and becoming stars, but to have longevity in this business.
yeah,
would you say?
yeah, I would say get as much training as possible, private lessons, and
Learn to
practice.
read.
Reading music. It's a mixture of all. If you're talking about pop music and rock and jazz, you got to have a certain percentage of, schooled per se, but also you do have to have the street,
Right.
in terms of being able to just have good ears and be able to play
Speaking
with
of that,
people.
Osama has perfect pitch. If you call out you sing a note, he can tell you what it is. So
Really?
some of it is, you have to have.
No,
I'd say almost perfect.
Okay, you lost it now.
Well,
You get
no, I
the
don't
old
lose it,
man.
but
You.
is that
Okay.
It's pretty close,
as as a novice, is that something that's gifted, or it's something that's trained, or a combination of both?
It's both. I'd
It
say
is.
a lot of people have a better ear than they think. Doesn't mean you can sing good, but in terms of hearing pitches, a lot can be trained. There's a small percentage of people who are quote unquote, maybe musical geniuses or whatever, but I think a lot of people are more talented than they think.
I see.
Like you just never were involved. Maybe you didn't grow up with music
I
around
did
you.
not grow up with music
Yeah,
around
so-
me, so this is all new to me, and it's so fascinating. And like I said, and when you guys are up there on stage, and I see the work that had been done before. So when I see you guys up on stage, I see it come together in a production, and it's like, wow, this is it. To me, it captivates me. Lolita can go up and just, when she goes up and sings and performs, I get mesmerized. I literally get mesmerized by watching her out there, and it's impressive to me because I didn't grow up with it. So to me, it's all new and fresh. So it's really inspiring to know that you guys do have a gift, but also, like I'm hearing, you have to work at that gift. You have to
you
develop
do.
it.
And
Yeah.
we want to go where you say something.
And probably the most, we all have our talent. I would say maybe the most talented out of all of us was our little brother,
Yes.
Mustafa, who sadly he passed away last year. He
Yeah.
was only, young, 44, right?
Yeah, we're still broken up about
And,
that. Yeah.
He had cancer and just really sad. But he had such natural ability. He could get on any instrument and he could just play it. We bought him drums, my mom or something.
Yeah, he
And
started.
the
He was
next
a
day,
drummer. Yeah.
he could just play the drums, and then he'd pick up my bass and play it, the guitar.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah, it was amazing. He wasn't a professional, but
But he was starting to get into it. He had.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You kind of pigeonhole people. Mustafa was kind of slow and quiet, and people thought that he, was really had special learning effects disabilities, but he didn't. He was very intelligent. He's the one that got the college degree.
Yeah, he went and got his college degree.
Oh gosh.
Everything.
Yeah, he got into insurance, and he was going to be in criminal law, but it was just too much for him. But he was starting to do bands. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, after we come back from our break, I don't know when we're going to have it, but I want you to tell about the difference between the music scene in Seattle and here. Mm-hmm. But he was playing in bands up there, so we miss him.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. If you're just tuning in, we have Osama Afifi, music producer here, and we're going to come back and talk about his production on music and the things that he's done lately, and also talk about the Seattle music scene. So please stay tuned. This is Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes under R&B or watch us live on Ustream TV. We are reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is GospelRhythms.com Talk Live Radio on LATalkLive.com. We're more than just talk. We're heaven's party here on earth.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Joy in My House. I'm joined here as our studio guest with Osama Afifi and my co-host here, Lolita Robinson.
Hey, how are ya? Hey, Sam.
Hello.
Well, if you're just tuning in right now, we're talking to Osama Afifi, music producer. He lives out in Seattle and is in the music industry out in Seattle. And we're going to ask him some questions about the Seattle music scene in a little bit. But I did want to let you guys know, the song that you just heard was out of Lolita's CD, Changes, and the music producer
and co-writer
is sitting here in the house with Osama Afifi. How was it working with Lolita?
It was great. And I was actually the co-producer, Eugene Bien, who's
yes,
great piano player, keyboard player, who lives up in Seattle. He was the other producer, and I'd say he was the lead producer. I mean, it was both of us, but he's just such a great keyboard player. So I played the bass on the CD. Eugene played like everything else, all the other sounds that you heard.
Wow.
And me and him, we both, put together, the arrangements and the grooves, but Eugene definitely did a lot of work. He's our old buddy from down in LA, and now he lives up there.
Now he lives out in Seattle.
And the thing that was so wonderful about it is that I don't read music. All my stuff, it just comes to me. But what I would do is sing a line in a tape recorder and send it to him. And him and Eugene came up with all the concepts.
Is amazing.
That's the thing that works out really well. I'll call Osama and sing these tunes on the telephone, and he puts it down for me. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about your first album, self-titled Lolita. Mm-hmm. I love that album. I mean, at the time when I first met Lolita and she gave me the CD and said, I'm looking for somebody to work with me and represent me and be a part of this ministry that I have in my music, I was going through a tough time, and Lolita was really always there for me and was my accountability partner. But I remember putting that CD in my car and crying to it many of times. It was so soulful to me. It was so, it really touched me. I was so impressed. And you're telling me now that you would sing a line and then you guys would write the music.
They would
Totally
they
blows
put it
me
down.
away.
Yeah, they would. And, people don't realize. A lot of people are really out in a lot of gospel singing and things, but I'm more introspective a lot of times. And so when you listen to my stuff, it's like you said, it's a lot of introspective stuff. Yeah, and Osama would put it down on paper, and he's just been my musical coordinator. It's just wonderful how it's worked out that way.
Well, then we need to start working on a third album,
Yeah,
right?
we need to get going. So Sam, what are you doing? I mean, I know you're going to talk about the music scene and.
But I was going to ask you, how was writing that? I'm sorry, but I did want to
No,
talk
that's
about
good, yeah.
the first album. How was it recording that album?
Oh.
Yeah, I just had this little digital recording machine. It was like a little 8-track, and it was real complicated because this was like how long ago was
Oh
that?
God, that's about 15 years.
Like
yeah.
15 years
Yeah.
ago, when the whole digital revolution was taking off, where people could do recordings, their own records at home. So basically, I had this little machine, and we would call in friends one at a time, put down parts.
Wow,
We did in his bedroom. We didn't have a big budget. I haven't had it. I'm waiting for the day. I haven't had a big budget like people have $30,000 to go in the studio.
Right.
No, we didn't
God
have
has just
that.
blessed us. It's just been by faith. Our loaves of bread and our fish, and we've just been getting out there and doing our thing. Yeah.
How long did it take you to record Lolita?
Took
Once
us
we
about-
got going, it didn't take that long. I can't remember.
Probably about 4 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, how quickly can you record an album?
I mean, once you're in the studio, you can do it pretty quick, but it's all the preparation before.
Right.
And then she's really great at writing lyrics and melodies.
Okay.
So she can pretty much come up with all that. I think ideas just flow out of her head. She could write for TV, or she could do whatever, because she can just come up with all sorts, any idea. If you say, even a funny record a long time ago, my mom did a rap record
Rap.
I want to hear about
for
this.
Christmas.
Beverly. Christmas with
And
Beverly.
this is like 25 years ago, around the Rapper's Delight era, back then.
Rap,
And-
rap, rap.
Yeah,
Mama
Alita-
rapper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she came up with all the words, and
Did you come up with
it was
the lyrics?
good too.
We
it
gotta
was
find
funny,
that.
but good.
But I'm limited, ladies and gentlemen, because I cannot read music. I cannot go and do jingles because they have to put before you. They put music before you. You got to go in there and sight read it and nail it. So I have natural ability, but if I had known how to read music, so I'm telling you, young people out there today, learn to read. Learn to read.
Yeah,
I think in any line of
That's it.
of professionalism nowadays,
right.
the more education you have, the stronger foundation you have, the further you can go with.
That's
with
right.
With any line of profession.
That's right. I don't
Right.
care. Even though you go on these reality shows, which people got mad at Elton John for what he said, but I agree. You can go on a reality show and you can win those contests, but it takes a whole lot of experience to stand up in front of an audience, to know how to talk to an audience, to know how to read an audience, to know how to work with different musicians, to know how to be versatile.
Well, I think you have
a
that
lot
gift.
to it.
I think you have that gift.
Well, I've been in the business for over 25 years. Okay, but
Because I see it. You're not just a performer. You're an entertainer. You tend to see the crowd and give the crowd what they need at the time, and you kind of manipulate it.
well,
and-
you learn it. It's just like you being in martial arts.
Yeah, I gotta look at a
You can be a
student.
black belt. I remember one teacher said that she was a black belt, but she didn't know how to use it. There's
It's
a lot
true.
more to it, isn't it? Like with
There
Sam,
is.
a musician, you got to know how to work with people. It's a lot to it, isn't it? In the same
I
thing in
agree.
martial arts.
Same thing in martial arts, especially when it comes to the transition of starting teaching martial arts.
Right.
I got to look at a student and see his voids and see what I need to teach him to develop him. Not everybody needs the same thing, and I don't believe it
Right.
one medicine for everybody.
Right.
And I think
Right.
I think that's a struggle with our school systems. They want one size fits all, and it doesn't work that way. Some kids need more encouragement. Some
Right.
kids need more validation. Some kids you need to be a little firmer with. But every student is different, and it's
Right.
a job as a teacher and instructor is to be able to realize that. But yeah, I've been teaching 20 some years.
That's
now.
what I'm saying. So I think today what we're trying to get people to see is that, look at the reality shows, go up there, but you have to have a foundation or you can't stay.
Right.
Even
Right.
Britney Spears and them, Beyonce, they were kids.
Yeah.
Justin Timberlake, everybody were kids. I even look at stars today who have these incredible series, and they started when they were little. They have a
Right.
foundation. So this is the important thing of the show today. I think with Osama being on talking about being a musician. You can be a musician, a family man, but
Right.
know your craft.
Yeah, study and yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I agree. You have to have that foundation. Now I know that you're in the you're living up in Seattle now. How is the industry out there? How's the music
Yeah,
scene
I'd
out
like to
there?
know
I
that.
hear it's a great vibrant scene for music out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of different styles, a lot of great jazz, rock, you know, soul, folk. You know, it's almost like kind of like Los Angeles, you know, littler Los Angeles.
Like a small version of LA.
But you know what? Go ahead.
But in that smaller area,
Yeah, but a lot
real
of powerhouses
compact,
come
yeah,
out.
talent, a lot of talented
But
people.
you have like little jazz places. Like there's not a lot of places here where we can just come and sit in and play. Is it that way? And if I wanted to just go up there and sit in, are there like a little clubs where I could get in work there or what?
There's a few, but I
Is
think
it
it's
drying
just
up
like
too?
I think it's just like everywhere. You gotta fish for them, and now because of
The economy.
everybody can sit there at home on their big screens and watch anything, or go on
Right.
YouTube and you
Right.
can see any artist in the last 180 years.
That's right.
They're there.
Right,
If I want to see
right.
Miles Davis, I look it up and there he is. Every
But nothing changes the experience
Yeah,
of
being live.
being there live.
Right.
I mean,
Is there more club work there? That's what I'm asking.
There's club work, yeah. I mean, it's just like anything. You have to. I'm a pretty much. I'm a go-getter in
Yeah, you
terms
are.
of, because I've produced music, but mainly only for my sister and a few little things here or there. My main thing is being just a working musician. So I play maybe 5, 6, 7 nights a week sometimes.
Yep.
wow.
You can do it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
intense.
But
That's
I play a lot of different styles. I've always worked at playing everything from Latin jazz to rock to I play in oldies bands still. I play in all sorts of music. So I don't get pigeonholed into one style. So that
No.
way,
If you want to work.
yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, it's knowing your craft and having that foundation and
Yeah, and to
being
be versatile.
well-versed. Yeah, being well versed.
And knowing how to work with people, and like we say, little things like show up on time is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And me and Olita, we talk about that all the time.
Oh,
Showing
yeah.
up on time. It's being
Oh,
accountable and it's being professional.
Sure it is.
You
sure it
want to
is.
show up on time and do good work and and like I said, little things, especially being a musician, not drinking on the job and
Right.
not partying on the job. You gotta take your job and your career seriously, and I think that's the only way for you to have longevity.
Right.
And that's we talked about that a little earlier.
Well, when I went to Seattle, I was there a year ago during the time when Mustafa was passing away, which we didn't know he was dying. But I had the pleasure of going to see Osama in a who were you playing with at the time? Great band.
Oh yeah. In the Pocket.
In the Pocket.
R&B band. Yeah.
It was amazing to look at the club scene, the difference in LA and Seattle. The people on the floor were so diverse. There was one woman who looked like a banker. There was one who looked like a school teacher. There was a guy who looked like an old hippie. And then there were some black guys that looked like back from Kool and the Gang and Sly and the Family Stone. I mean, it was such a diverse group of people that you wouldn't see in the club scene in LA. It's usually
Right.
pretty kind of cool. You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
all the scene out here in LA in the
Yes.
music industry is like, if you're into hip hop, everybody's there hip hop
Right,
out.
right.
If you're into jazz, everybody's a little more in suits and
Right,
more mature
right,
audience.
right.
It's very segmented.
But
out
not
here.
there. But there is like a melting pot. And maybe someone was saying, maybe it's because the military. You think so many military families, so many
I'm not
diverse
sure,
people
but,
come together. It was amazing. I couldn't believe the
Yeah.
diverse people that were dancing on that floor.
Yeah, they definitely have.
It's
know,
like
a
they
lot of
didn't really care.
Right.
It was a
right.
little more fun. I'm not saying that LA is not that way, but it's not as cliquish. You didn't have to be stylish. You
yes.
could just be who you were. It was really interesting.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Seattle's
Yeah.
kind of like that anyway.
It
Yeah,
is,
and
huh?
Tacoma, yeah, kind of laid back.
yeah, accept you whoever
Yeah.
you are. Get up there, do your
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Well, I do want to ask you a question that I ask all my guests, and it's the premise of my show. We always talk about the joy that we have in our house, the things that we're grateful for, and especially during this time of Thanksgiving and these holidays. I want to ask you, Osama, what's the joy that you have in your house? What does joy in your house mean to you?
I say, like my family, my wife Nami and my son Jordan. He's 10 years old now, and raising him, and as we all know, it's interesting being a parent.
That's a nice way of putting it.
You know, when kids know, they know more than you, they think, you know. So
Right, right.
dealing with all that, but it's real blessing to, you know, every night we pray with my son, you know, before he goes to sleep, and he mentions everybody you can imagine, and
Good
it's
for him.
yeah, and it's such a blessing to just, you know that you have a family, and then my family here, Lolita, my mom and dad, and all my nephews and nieces up in Seattle, you know, just that everybody's together, and
Right.
you know, you realize, you know, especially when people get sick. My mom had some problems, but now she's doing good, and then my father-in-law, same thing. You know, it just puts
And our
things
dad too. He
my
had some
dad,
trouble. He had, you know,
maybe
cancer that he overcame.
like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And just, you know, appreciate everybody, you know, just don't take things for granted, and don't sweat the small stuff, like they say, you know,
That's right.
I agree.
That's a good way.
you know, and being able to, I'm blessed to have been able to, you know, be in the music business. I'm 49 now, and you
Okay,
know,
now don't get started. Okay, don't get started, and don't tell how much older I am.
oh,
than you.
you're my younger
Thank
sister.
you. Okay.
But
Wow, you look great.
But I, you know,
Yeah,
I've been
who
in
would
this
imagine?
Yeah, I've been in this business since I was like 21 or 9. Well, really, even before,
Before that.
but since 21, 22, you know, being pretty much a full-time musician. So
Well, good for you to have such
Yeah.
longevity and have a
Oh,
career
yeah.
in the industry.
Homeowner. I mean, he's been able to buy homes and stuff. Yeah, he's had a lucrative career as a musician.
Good for you. I think
I think it's better than being stars, to tell you the
I
truth.
was just about to say
what
that.
were you going to say?
I was just about to say that.
Uh-huh.
I think, you know, some of these people that want to be famous,
Mm-hmm.
but then they have no longevity, these one-hit wonders. Yeah, that's great. And then they're stuck just trying to find that same
Right.
level of fame. And I think I rather slow and steady wins the race. My
Right.
dad always used to say, you want to have some great highs, but you're going to have some great lows. He's like, I don't want to be that. He's like, I'd rather stay in the middle and just have little ups and downs, little hills, instead of just having these peaks, but then you also have these great bottoms.
And talking about musician, let's talk about your father. He cracks me up. Tell him about your
My-
dad and
my
that
father's-
piano. You gotta
oh
go.
my gosh.
You talking about no music in your family?
So-
your mother and your father, what they're doing now?
My mother just retired, and my father, he's a physics professor. He's a scientist.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah,
decided to take up
amazing
an
man.
instrument.
Amazing.
And decided to take up piano, and he is self-taught, and he's diligent. He
Wow.
practices,
Yeah.
I would say 4 or 5 hours a day, and he is self-taught and, you know, learning keys. And he goes on YouTube and started a little lesson plan, but then now he's on his own and got a book and went through the whole book. And, you know, now he's
Wow.
writing his own music. He's writing his own symbols for music. It's amazing.
see, it
And
was
your mother-
always
and your
it was
mother-
always then in there.
Like
Yeah,
you said about the
somehow.
surgeons, that reminded me of what you talked about the surgeons that you had that are now playing bass.
Right.
You're never
Exactly.
too old. And your mother, isn't she doing
Now
piano?
she's playing guitar. Now she's
Oh.
playing guitar.
See, so you had
The
talents
Osmonds.
there.
I mean, we'll see if they're talented, but
but they're doing their
but they're-
thing. You're
yeah.
never too old, right?
Yeah.
You're
And
never
I
too
think-
old, people.
And like we talk about music being such a creative outlet,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. So if you're out there and you're interested in becoming a musician, go back and listen to what Osama has talked about here, and having longevity and having a foundation where he's able to actually have a life and be able to provide for his family and be lucrative in this music industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the fame, and it's not about, you know, how much money you make, but having that longevity and consistency. I
and a
think,
good family man.
yeah, and he's a family
How
man.
long have you Nami been married?
Gosh, over since 95 or so. you
So
know,
that's
it's been a long time.
almost 18 years.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's beautiful though, because people don't hear. They always hear the negative side of musicians,
Right,
drug
right.
addicts and womanizers and cheaters. All the men that I work with are very self-respecting men with families, and yeah, I hope
And
we
it-
got that point across today.
I hope
That's
so
why
too.
I really
And if
wanted
you're out
Sam
there
to come
listening,
on.
I think that's really what as a successful person, a professional person
Right.
in any industry wants to work with credible people,
Right.
people who have boundaries, and you're able to really let that creativity come out and not let it be about the fame or about the partying or about the womanizing. I think that is so important. So if you're out there, catch the recap of the show on Ustream.tv. We're here in studio with our in-studio guest, Osama Afifi, music producer who worked on Lolita's first album, and it currently worked on her new album, Changes, that is out right now on
and Eugene,
lrcministries.com.
thank you, Eugene.
Eugene was the executive producer on that, and he co-produced it with Osama Fifi, who just had a great story on how you guys got it written and musically produced. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, sometimes people that are perfectionists think that if they don't have all, they can't do anything. Just start where you are, bloom where you're planted. Just take the step out, and I would like bigger doors, of course. Who wouldn't?
Right.
But it doesn't stop you from being creative where you are. If you're out there and feeling like your life is insignificant because you're married and you're just doing your little gigs, it's huge. It's a huge accomplishment to be happy at what you do. To me, that's the blessing, don't you think?
Totally.
Because you're happy with what you do.
Oh, definitely.
You're happy with what you do, right, Joel?
You know what? I am content.
Right.
Like you said, we always want more, but man, if I really take the time to stop and look at my life, I think I even say right now, I'm more than content. I'm happy.
Good.
I'm happy. So
that's awesome.
if you're just tuning in, please catch the recap on Ustream.tv. Next week we have a great. First, let me thank Osama Fifi. Thank you for being on the show.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. I want you guys out there as audience and as viewers to send in your comments. Find us on twitter.com/joinmyhouse, twitter.com/LA Talk Live. Find us on Facebook for guest lineups and really amazing, life-changing guests that come on and talk about the decisions that they made to change their lives and to really give us hope and inspiration, because that's what the show's about having inspirational guests like Osama, who's here talking about his music career and how he's had longevity, been a family man, a man of God, and also being successful and lucrative. These are the steps that I think we need to look back and say, what are the steps that he took to have this? Then we need to, through his experiences, strengths, and hope, we need to follow. So I want to thank you once again, Osama, for coming on the show.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lolita, for being my co-host here. Without her, this would not be possible. I want to thank Van Eric, our producer here.
Yeah, Van.
Van just takes care of all the technical aspects of the show. Please join us next week as we will have Debbie Magginson from Project Cuddles, who's going to talk about her foundation, which you guys, if you watch TV on NBC, she was on The Talk talking about her foundation. John Stamos is her celebrity spokesperson. Don't forget to join us next week on Joy in My House on LATalkLive.com. You can follow us on Ustream.tv. Thank you once again. Don't forget to join us next week at noon, every Sunday at noon. If you're getting out of service, tune in right away. Thank you guys for being a part of our Joy in Our House.
Yeah, we love you, and have a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Bye-bye.
People think I'm crazy 'cause I